Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the United Stand. We're back on a fan forum. It's Sunday night and I'm joined by Charlie, Kev and Adam. How you doing, lads?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks.
Good.
Very well, thank you.
Kev's good as well. I've not been on a show with Kev for a long time.
No, it's been ages, hasn't it?
Yeah, I do tell them not to put us on the same show, but I'm very angry that Ryan's let this happen. But we'll carry on.
We'll crack on.
I'm joking. Me and Kev are old school. We've been here years, haven't we, Kev?
We're tight, mate. Tight, me and you.
Yeah,
I was there before you become a big star, so
yeah. You were there in the Bishop's Blaze when people would. It wasn't me actually. We went to get a pint. It was Martin. Went to get a pint at the Bishop's Blaze, which is a famous Manchester United pub. Came back with a moustache and everything drawn on him. I didn't even know why, and it was like he just it must have just been two Manx caught me out. I said, well, how did you get a pen drawing a moustache on your face? It was just mad.
That's how we roll in Manchester, Mark.
It was a good day, that was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. We're going to talk about Ten Hag's big decisions. We've got a massive game next week against Manchester City, as we know. Got players coming back from international duty. Varane on the bench tonight, which is great. Hopefully he's going to come back fit. McTominay played, I think, today or yesterday. He should be okay. So look, lots to be positive about as we go into a very crucial period. But I want to get in tonight into a bit of what is Ten Hag's secret 11 and what big decisions has he got to make? And we're going to start off, and I'm actually going to start with Kev this because you've always had a strong opinion on McTominay. So let me just, there was a tweet this afternoon. McTominay was actually trending because of this tweet, I believe. And basically it goes like this. Scott McTominay is the optimal football litmus test. If you rate him, you know the game. Watching him closely is football education. He's the ideal midfielder, complete in every sense of the word, but also a specialist. He ticks every physical, mental, tactical, and technical box possible. Anybody who disagrees confirms to mass narratives and isn't an independent thinker. McTominay is press resistant, makes lots of passes, is technically secure, progressive where possible, can strike the ball to switch play, attacks boxes and 8. He can do all of this in a single or double pivot. He's always available, a physical specimen and leader. I'll tell you what, I want 10 pints of what he's having. Bloody hell. But,
is that Rick the Red that's tweeted that? What?
It's Rick that. It's Rick the Red.
It's not Rick the Red. I'll tell you what, Rick, it's a shame Ricky's on holiday because he would have loved this. I'll tell you what, he's absolutely right. He's speaking my language. You know what? I did reply to it because that account actually is normally quite good. I don't know what's gone wrong. Something's gone wrong in his own life. Something, prayers for him. But I'm not even going to give the Twitter account out because it's just unfair. But I did think it. I wanted to talk about McTominay tonight anyway because I wanted to sort of phrase it in the way of he did play really well for Scotland in both games, and he has had a good start to the season. But this got me thinking, and we'll go through all the lads on this. But this got me thinking, Kev. Where's this tweet coming from? I mean, I don't think let's do a safe and well, because God knows what else he's doing today. But on a serious note, I do think McTominay has been a lot better this year, but I cannot subscribe to this whole we don't know football and he's been good for ages. I mean, this year I think he's being good. What do you think about him this year?
Yeah, you certainly can't go down the route of I don't know who has put that tweet out, but to say that you don't know football if you think that McTominay's been a bad footballer or if he's a good footballer, you shouldn't be able to say that anyway. But if you're talking McTominay this season has been good, and I understand McTominay's got his critics. We've done loads of shows on here where we've discussed in depth. Now, the thing that has impressed me about McTominay is he has raised his game, and he knows for a fact Casemiro is knocking at the door. United haven't spent 60 million on a serial winner in Casemiro to come to Manchester United for him to be sat on the bench watching McTominay. I have to take my hat off to him at the minute and go, last 4 or 5 games, he's been bang on. And I can only see that he has raised his game because he knows his place in this team is under threat. It's testament to McTominay. I think fair play. I have been on here. I've been slandered for... I certainly don't go to Ricky's kind of levels of lambasting him with so much kind of positivity because for me, it's always been about the mix in the midfield. And if you play Fred and McTominay against teams like Brighton or West Ham or at Old Trafford, for me, I've said it for years, it sets the tone for the match. And for me, it's just pure negativity. The main man at Manchester United this season has been Eriksen, you know, and that's probably testament to Eriksen as well. He's probably getting the best out of McTominay. McTominay has his limitations. You know, stay in your lane, you do your business. If you can clean up, get the ball, give an easy ball, that is your job, because that's what McTominay brings to Manchester United. Is it good enough? Will he be able to, you know, see off the threat of Casemiro? I don't see that long term, but I have to take the hat off and say, do you know what? Fair play, because he is giving it a right good go at the minute. And he's giving Erik ten Hag a great headache, because at the minute, you know, you cannot throw him out not on form. He is in form and he has to get in that team. I'm sure we'll talk in a bit about the Manchester derby that's obviously coming up and whether you would have him in that team. But for me at the minute, if you're picking players purely on form, which is how it should be, then you go with that. You know, Manchester United are not, we don't have Gareth Southgate in charge, somebody who's going to, as I will say, friends. He's not going to pick it, you know. Ten Hag wants battlers, ballers, people that he knows he can rely on. And he's getting that at the minute. So if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think that it's a great point, and Keevan said it in the chat as well. Last year, he's playing with Maguire and Lindelof, who are protect me, don't leave me. Whereas Varane and Martinez are saying, "Go and express yourself, mate. I don't need you to hold around." And he's also got Eriksen, who's telling him what to do instead of Fred. So that's going to make him better. And then you've got what I call the Dalot effect, because I think Dalot is the player that Ten Hag has improved the most. And McTominay has improved as well. So it's like somebody said harshly, he said he's gone from shit to average, and that's why we all think he's really good. I don't think it's that harsh. I actually think he's playing well. And it's interesting, if you saw him in both Scotland games, I know they're probably not playing great teams, but he looks a more confident player, and he's definitely playing well. I think Kev makes a great point as well, Adam. Is there a little bit of somebody just said in the chat, have we missed something here with McTominay? Because Mourinho, Sir Alex, Carrick, Ollie, Ranić, and now Ten Hag, they always pick him. He obviously does. Have we missed something, or is it just that he obviously does something in training that gets him in the team? And I don't feel as if I've missed anything with McTominay until this season. And then I've gone, you know what? I don't dislike any player. I just want them to play well. And if they don't play well, I'll say it. Nothing can convince me he was good last year, but this season, I'm impressed. I'm a little bit frustrated, I must admit, because he didn't play well against Brighton. I think he was on the bench against Brentford. And then we bought Casemiro and he's suddenly gone, woof. And I'm like, bloody hell, we probably wasted 60 million quid if you're going to keep Casemiro out the team.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, he came on against Brentford and we had a reel of absolute crap from him again. He just looked like a lost soul. But no, we've not missed anything on McTominay. And yeah, other managers may have put him in before, but it's about the right manager picking the right team that McTominay fits into. I mean, he has got attributes that other players haven't got. I mean, his engine, you can say that, his strength, he's good in the air, like what Ricky says, that's true. He is good at ruffling feathers. I mean, one yellow card away from suspension. He likes to get stuck in, which we do need at Manchester United. We have been called fairies recently, especially last season. I mean, we didn't even kick out in anger once. I don't think we just fell by the bar, and teams just walked all over us. But I think with McTominay, I think it suits him not doing much, which he isn't doing at the moment. And that's all I can say with McTominay. I said it last week. I said he's better this season because he's doing less. He's not trying to be that player that we know he's not. He's not being convinced by people at Manchester United that he's a new Roy Keane. Ten Hag's come in. He said, Ronaldo, bench. Maguire, bench. Doesn't matter. Don't matter who you are, your price tag, how long you've been here, if the fans love you, whatever it is. If you fit in my system, what can you do, Scott? You can get in there, you can disrupt play, and you can pass it to one of the ballers. That's McTominay. There's nothing special. There's nothing we've missed. He's just doing a very good job for the manager that's found the best setup for him out of all the managers that you've just mentioned there. People trying to laud him like he is something that he's not has been the problem. And I think even Scott McTominay has accepted his role in the team, and I think he's happy with it. Like you said, if you're going away on international duty and you're full of confidence coming away from Manchester United, then there've been big changes. Been really big changes. Not only, I mean, it was only last year that players were saying it's a better atmosphere on England camp than it is at Manchester United. United's a happy camp at the moment. Players are playing where they should be playing. Players are playing that should be playing on merit, which is the biggest thing. And like Kev said, it's you pick a team that's working. Scott McTominay will start the Manchester derby 100%. I know it. He will. I think it's the type of game that probably suits him in a way, because we're going to need someone to get about our own third to help out the defence, to help out Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen, who probably hasn't got that engine. I think Eriksen will play as well, but I think Scott McTominay is that man just to break things up and keep it simple. And he's had decent games against City before, McTominay. So I would see him starting that game. But in terms of your first question, we haven't missed anything, mate. And you're dead right. He was crap last season, but people were saying he was something that he wasn't, in my opinion. Right now, Ten Hag's told him exactly what he is, and lo and behold, he's playing well. He's keeping it simple, and he's being that midfielder that doesn't do anything special, just does what he's good at, which is breaking play up, giving it, and then making that occasional run forward to support the front line, or even be there at corners to defend well, which he's done superbly in the last few games. You can't deny it.
It's about getting the blend right, isn't it? In that midfield. Ricky said it before on previous shows. You look at the likes of Pogba, that he's tried getting into this team under Solskjaer, and a touch back on Eriksen for me has been, it really, really has been the difference for Manchester United this season. Somebody that's so calm, is able to step into that game, slow it down, speed it up, play it at his pace. And McTominay, you've seen great players. I'm not for 1 minute saying that, say a Deschamps kind of player. McTominay is capable of doing that. You've got to give it to the players in that midfield, then like an Eriksen, who can make things happen. It's just about getting the blend right in midfield. And that's probably more about how Man United have been, over the last 4 games. They played well with the right blend in midfield.
Yeah, and I think it's, I'm sure a lot of people have played at home. Charlie, you've obviously played at a good standard. It's a while since I have, but it's so true. I used to play centre back for school, and the player I played with was just a motor mouth and absolutely dominant. And then my Saturday team, I was probably the better centre back, so I had to work harder. And I much preferred playing with the school team because, you still play as well, but you've got somebody who's doing a lot of the responsibility for you. And I think with Eriksen, like Kev says, you do get that. The question I was going to ask you, Charlie, as well is, we bought Casemiro. McTominay is doing well. I mean, look, fair play to the guy who put the tweet out earlier. We're not taking the piss out of you. It's your opinion. And all of us, I think, agree that McTominay this season is worthy of his place. But I just don't think before that he didn't look like the player he does now. What does this mean? What do you think about McTominay, Charlie? And what do you think about Casemiro? Because the interesting thing for me is, and it is a Ten Hag big decision, maybe he starts in the derby, but longer term, McTominay to come out of that team, I don't see how he plays McTominay and Casemiro. So he's got to go with one. Is long term McTominay coming out of that team, or is it a genuine concern for Casemiro?
No, I think in my opinion it's almost inevitable that Casemiro will come in, and there's, for me, it's night and day in terms of their attributes and everything. And I think Casemiro does take our midfield to that next level. It's just kind of when Ten Hag, and look, I agree with everyone here in the sense that I agree that McTominay will and probably should start in the City game, because it's one of those games where you do need that McTominay type player. And just because the past few seasons he has been poor, he's obviously in good form now. Like, you should realistically, you should always play, your strongest 11 that you think on form and on the current ability that the players are expressing. So, but I mean, for me, yeah, Casemiro is, you can see, although he hasn't been playing to his highest ceiling, let's say, but you can see there's certain things in his game that are just head and shoulders above, things that McTominay wouldn't even see or wouldn't even think about. And I think, I mean, I've been reading the chat along the way while you guys have been speaking. A lot of people have kind of hit the nail on the head that I think that it seems like such a jump in performance for him, because obviously he has been playing down here, and now it's almost by his standards that he's performing really well, rather than, in comparison to kind of any other player in his kind of role. But yeah, to kind of round off the point, for me, it is just the inevitable factor that Casemiro will eventually come in. It's just, when does Ten Hag bite the bullet? Does he wait for McTominay's form to dip and drop and then bring Casemiro in, or does he kind of drip feed him in, 20 minutes or 90 minutes, in the Europa League, and then
he'll be in against Everton, because Scott McTominay is getting that yellow card in the derby. I guarantee it. So he'll be suspended.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is.
He'll be in against Everton, definitely. But on that, I think you got to bring into it as well, Mark, is the fact that look how many other players in the team right now are playing well.
Yeah.
So it's easy to play
and
better.
on international duty that they do is consistent.
All of them.
You want to play. You want to play with better players that make you play better as well, right? Like I was playing football last season, and I was initially at one team, and then I moved to a better team, and automatically it raised my game as well, because you're playing, with better players that you want to work harder for and you want to impress and improve with. So, yeah, I mean, and Eriksen has, I honestly think Eriksen is, for me so far, our best signing, regardless, whether we paid any money for him, whether he's free, whatever. He's honestly been unbelievable, and I think he takes a huge weight off of McTominay in terms of his roles and responsibilities. I think, and Eriksen isn't known as this, defensive minded midfielder, but just the way that he strolls around the pitch, and his vision and passing and stuff is. And I've said it before, like Bruno Fernandes can get in all of these really good positions. We've never had that player to find him, but now we have the Eriksen to, pick up the passes, and it's not necessarily McTominay that needs to get on the ball and try and find, these intricate passes, which he isn't very good at. So I think now he's, as Adam said, he's kind of sticking to what he's good at, the basics, the kind of breaking up play and ball winning and interceptions and stuff like that, and obviously using his strength and height and everything to his advantage. And I think, I mean, look, you can't really beat around the bush. He's played really, really well, and I think as long as he keeps doing that, you can't really take him out the side in terms of the bigger games for me. But yeah, inevitable that Casemiro definitely does obviously come in. I mean, it would almost be like rude, not like just to not eventually have this guy play for us, especially when we've been calling out for this, CDM number 6 for so many years, and now Scott McTominay's played 6 good games, and we're all like, oh my god, we've discovered something in him. It's it'll be a matter of time.
Well, I think as well, like yesterday, people may have seen me managing at Charlton. I didn't really want to mention it, but I did. We did play. But no, it's like what Charlie says. I saw Kev nodding and Adam as well. Football's really simple. And I think people sometimes get they give over praise. I mean, look, Solskjaer was a legend as a player. As a manager, I genuinely just don't think he was very good. I don't think Southgate's very good. I don't think they've got a magic potion that makes them better than us at football knowledge. I genuinely don't. I don't think the margins are that fine. And I know people who've managed at the highest level, and I've had a pint with them, and you're like, how did you pick a team? And so, look, I don't think football's that difficult. And yesterday, we didn't have a centre-back. I had 3 people who could play midfield. So one of them had to go centre-back, and they interchanged. And we had no pace up front, so we couldn't hit long balls. It was a waste of time. So what we had to do is we had to play out from the back. And if you're going to play out from the back, you need midfielders who want to take the ball. Now, Ten Hag wants to play out from the back, and he wants to play through the team. Scott McTominay, factually, this season is averaging about 30 passes a game, whereas Eriksen's beyond 60, 70. When Casemiro comes on, he's about 50 passes per game. I've got to get Casemiro in that team because I want two play, because everyone will figure it out very quickly. You swamp Eriksen. We used to get it with Carrick. You swamp Eriksen, so McTominay's got to get on the ball more. That's his next step. Or I've got to bring Casemiro in because I want to be able to play through. And that was the issue we had yesterday. We had to play through the midfield because it was the only way we were going to get up the pitch. Now, United do have that long ball. We've still got that Rashford ball, and it is an out ball. But I'm telling you now, McTominay's been really good this season, but he has got to get on the ball more. His stats on the ball are still not where they need to be. And if he does, because his passing is good, that's where he needs to go. But Casemiro, for me, and I want to go to this, does he start in the derby? I'm 50-50 because I think McTominay deserves to start. But at some point, I've got to get Casemiro in that team because you can't tell me that Casemiro doesn't know how to take the ball off the back 4 and run a midfield. He's just won a bloody Champions League. He's won 4 of them. He's one of the best CDMs in the world. So I've got to get him in the team at some point. Now, whether you can have them both in the team or not, I don't know. Is it McTominay, like Adam says, Kev, in the Man City game? Is it too much of a game to chuck Casemiro in? I mean, he's been here for about a month now, hasn't he? He can't keep going on about fitness, but I think it will be McTominay.
I think it will be McTominay. I think it would be extremely harsh to go with Casemiro. Now, listen, Casemiro could be training brilliantly, could be up to speed now, and Ten Hag might look at that. I think it would be incredibly harsh to take McTominay out of that team. I think Adam's made a good point about the yellow card. I think time's ticking down, and it's almost a question of kind of when will Casemiro kind of take that spot. Again, McTominay has been good. The question you really need to ask yourself is, we've got a player, you've just said, he's won Champions Leagues.
He's won 5, actually. 5, sorry.
There
he's
you go.
5.
5 of them. 5 of the bad boys he's won. And you look at that and you think, Casemiro, for the job that he does as a central defensive midfielder, is probably top 3, top 5 in the world. Yeah, prior to him coming to Manchester United. And then you look at McTominay, and where would you put him? You know, and I'm not trying to slag him off or anything. I'm just saying he probably wouldn't even make top 10, top 20. But the minute he's keeping him out the team, and again, I think it's only a matter of time. Like, I go back to the point earlier. Manchester United have not spent money on a player that we have literally been crying out for years and years. You know, this is the kind of player that potentially could have released Paul Pogba at Manchester United. You know, we were told this every week when Paul Pogba went playing for France and turned it on. It's because he's got Kante next to him. You know, he needs this player next to him that does that. Well, we've got that player now, and we're lucky that we've got a player like Christian Eriksen as well. So it's all about getting the blend right. But for the question there, for me, I've always said pick players in form. And at the minute, I don't see no reason to take McTominay out of that team.
Yeah, and, you know, just to go back to you on Adam, some great points coming in from the chat. I think McTominay will play. I'm 50-50 on whether he should. I'm loyal to the fact that I like Ten Hag, and I'm loyal to the fact that McTominay's playing well and he's in form. But then I just get this voice in my head saying it's Casemiro. Do you think De Bruyne wants to play against Casemiro or McTominay? And we're playing Man City, and if we go there and get dominated in the midfield and you've left Casemiro, it's a big decision, isn't it? I do think he'll go with McTominay. If I'm absolutely honest, I'm going to go controversial and say I'd pick Casemiro just because it's Casemiro, but I think he will go McTominay, and I think I can understand why. I won't have a problem with it. So I'm sure when the team news comes out next Saturday, there'll be Casemiro should have been playing trending. I won't be doing that, but I will say right now, I would go Casemiro just as a preference, but I'm not going to moan if he goes with McTominay, and that's what I think he will do. Yeah,
isn't it nice actually talking about actual players to come in who are actually playing well for a derby instead of the chat we were talking about last season? I'm with you. I think Casemiro is the man for the big occasion. I mean, look what he did to all of the best teams in England, Chelsea, City and Liverpool.
Well, Liverpool a few months ago.
Yeah. Last season, he done it to all of them because Real Madrid beat everyone, didn't they? They beat everyone. I mean, it was the most, I would say, the most surprising Champions League win of Real Madrid's history, and he was a major part of that. But going back to, like you said, the difference there with McTominay and Casemiro in terms of what McTominay can bring, Casemiro's passing stats. I mean, I was at the Legends game yesterday, and Michael Carrick played for 2/3, 3/4 of the game. United were winning. Michael Carrick came off. We went to crap. It's literally, it's like that. It's like Fletcher looked great alongside Michael Carrick in the United midfield. Darren Gibson looked bleeding great next to Michael Carrick in midfield. Michael Carrick went off. Fletcher looked like a lost soul. That's exactly what it is. There's the difference. There's a difference in quality. Casemiro is that quality. Casemiro is that serial winner of major trophies. And I do believe that, I mean, if I'm Kevin De Bruyne, I don't want the pest that is Scott McTominay kicking at my heels all the time. Or if he does start and he does start kicking heels and gets the yellow card, he probably gets subbed off because there will be a red card in the making. But then Casemiro comes on. So really, we're in a sort of win-win situation for the first time in a long time as United fans going into a derby. Like, we have got players there that suit McTominay, But we've also got a player to come in Casemiro, which suits everybody because he brings out, like Charlie said, he'll bring out a better game out of everyone who's already in decent form. I mean, you mentioned it, Denmark. I mean, the players that are on international duty right now that are in form, Dalot and Bruno, Eriksen, Varane, everyone is absolutely firing right now. That whole spine of Manchester United is on fire. It's only that middleman up front that we've got the debate over right now. But in terms of the midfield area, I've never felt as confident as I do now in the team, in the United team. So centre-backs and centre midfield, I feel like I'm going into a game where we've actually got a chance that we can actually implement our own style on the game. I think we've got a chance of holding out. We can play defensively if we want and still do it with that team. And I think we can actually play on the front foot with that team as well. But if I had to pick, I would probably go with Scott McTominay first of all. I would, just because I know he's in the best form he's been in since he's been at Manchester United. And I think he will be up and more than up for this game. I mean, we've seen he was ruffling feathers against Ireland yesterday. I've just been speaking to a couple of Irish fans there who are both United fans who hated him yesterday. And I want City fans to hate him as well. I just want that day when Scott McTominay's hated by City fans. And that's because he's been the pest that he can be. So, but yeah, in the end of the day, we know Casemiro is going to come in and take over. But I'm still with the old school. I'm like Kev. I'm not calling Kev old school in any way, shape, or form here. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think Scott McTominay will start against Manchester City. I do.
Charlie, to move it on, you know where I'm going now. Spoiler alert. I want to talk about. I wish we had Harry on. He'd just be able to tell us how great he is, wouldn't he? Oh, I've done this. I've done that. I used to be the milk monitor at school. That means I must be good at handing milk out. You know. Anyway, Harry Maguire. I want to talk about Harry Maguire, Charlie. There's been plenty of talk, most of it from sources close to him, apparently, and him. But apparently it's all for clicks. I don't get how it can be for clicks when he's doing most of the talking and it's someone from his source. But anyway, what are your thoughts on it? Because nobody was talking about him. United fans were not talking about him at all. He was sat on the bench and everybody's attitude was, that's where you should be. Work hard to get your way back. And nothing was going to change on the international break until this story broke. And then obviously he's had his say on England duty. He was injured for 8 weeks before the England Euros and he got into the team of the Euros. I mean, yes, the Euros were 18 months ago. You don't need to check that. But what is your general thought on the Maguire thing? He's Man United club captain. That's why people talk about him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's so strange. It's like you'd think that he would have learned to almost like keep his mouth closed after like the first couple of times maybe, but it's just like more and more stuff. I don't know if he's just so rattled by the fact that Ten Hag has kind of dropped him, and obviously the kind of criticism that he's been getting over the past year or so that he's just so lost in like his own kind of like bubble that he doesn't really understand and value other people's opinion. I mean, maybe it kind of reflects on what people or the type of people he has surrounding him, like telling him, it's like, I mean, you're the people you play with. So like, and again, this might be very different at a professional level, but if I was to play a rubbish game, my mates who I'm playing with will go, Jesus, Charlie, you played shit today. And it's just, a bit of fun that you can have, and you're all mates at the end of the day. But and I get that there might be like a kind of difference there, but I just don't understand how someone around him isn't just going like, and look, I was watching one of your shows, Mark, about when the Harry stuff came out recently, and even if this is all completely made up, completely fabricated, why wouldn't you just come out and say, I'm 100% committed to Manchester United? I would and distance yourself from these comments. Like I don't know, I don't understand, and it's just it's almost like I don't like at some point I'm like I want to almost defend him because I want Manchester United players to play well, and I want them to succeed, right? But it's just when does he stop saying these like stupid and they're not even like, oh yeah, I can kind of see where he's coming from. I can kind of see his standpoint. They're just like stupid comments and stupid remarks that are making him just look like a prat. Like he just comes across so idiotic, in my opinion. And I think at the end of the day, it honestly doesn't help him out in the long run either, because in my opinion, he's obviously deserved to be dropped. All he needed to do was just get his head down and stick to, improving his game. He's somehow managed to keep the captaincy, whatever we obviously think of that. I wouldn't obviously have kept him as my captain, but I think he should have just obviously kept quiet and then just worked on himself and worked on improving his game, etc. And that's the best thing you can do, right? Is you just work on yourself and improve. But I don't know. He's just, I don't know. Again, I come back to, I don't know if this comes down to the people that he has, surrounding him, whether they're very much like yes type people. Yes, Harry, you played really well. That type of people. But I mean, and we've seen it countless times with people online, right? When you have people around you constantly telling you, yes, you're perfect, you're this, it never kind of works out in the long run. So
no,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think as well, it's look, I was on about it earlier. It's like if I was close to Harry Maguire, I would just say, mate, I can be really honest. People don't like you. Like they don't like you as a player for Man United. Not personally, you're probably a really nice guy, but as a player, they don't like you in a United shirt. That's nothing new. We're all old enough to remember there's been players over the years that have not been liked in a United shirt. He's not the first player to not be liked in a United shirt. So the last thing you want to talk about is how great you are and what teams of the tournament you've been in, and you're the captain and it's all for clicks. Whether you're right or wrong, just button it and work to get you. I mean, I've said it so many times. Look at Scott McTominay. I haven't seen him do an interview in ages. He's keeping Casemiro out of the team. And we've just spent 20 minutes talking about why he's doing it. Maguire could be in that position. That's where he could be. But Kev, you've not been on, and I've not had a chat with you about Maguire, but there's something I wanted to add to this. I mean, it's interesting. Matic is not a player anymore for Manchester United. He says what people are doing to Maguire, it's a disaster. Everything has to have limits. And some of these people writing on social media, they don't have their own lives, so they just have to write bad things about someone else. And he said that in the Times. Now, I don't, look, if he's talking about people who want to burgle his house or threaten him or something like that, of course that's right. But I don't know whether Matic is just, I don't know whether he's talking about that or whether he's talking about people who say he shouldn't be in the team or whether he's talking about the general media or anything like that. But again, I'm like, why is Nemanja Matic being asked about Harry Maguire being benched for Manchester United for Varane? That's the thing. Everything else, I don't know why we're talking about it. Apart from Mark Ogden said he had a close source to Harry Maguire who slated David De Gea and blamed everybody else. That doesn't happen. Why is Matic talking about Maguire? Why are we talking about Maguire? Because for some reason, we're being told he's the United captain and De Gea's why he was crap and this, that and the other.
That, for me, that's probably the old football friends thing. Matic is probably looking at after one of his old teammates where, listen, we're here. Harry Maguire, I mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, some of the things I could say, I'd probably never be on here again. So I'll tone it down slightly, but...
I don't know.
Harry, right, all right.
Like this morning, no.
I didn't know. But I'd sum him up in one word, right? I honestly think he's deluded for a start, Harry Maguire. I think he's an absolute bellend, if I'm being totally true. Honestly, this guy...
Right, okay, you are going to be banned.
Sorry, cut me out. I'll see you. It's been nice. Honestly, I just don't know where... The guy can't even get in the Manchester United team. Yet Gareth Southgate puts him on this pedestal where... didn't he contradict himself by saying that players will get an England team on form? He's not even played the last 4 games for Manchester United. How he gets in the England squad is totally beyond me. Martinez has come in. Everybody questioned him, his height and all that, and all these jokes. I've said it before. He's not even tall enough to get on the Wicker Man at Alton Towers and all that. But he's doing the business. He has put Harry Maguire totally in the shade. Martinez is an absolute warrior. He's got pace, tenacity. He's going to get stuck in. Everything that Harry Maguire's not. And Harry Maguire is still the captain of Manchester United. It is honestly beyond me. Now, if Matic wants to stick up for him, that's fair enough. But that's not the mentality I want at Manchester United. I want the likes of, the old PC brigade. You've got Roy Keane's called out Harry Maguire on numerous occasions. And yet we were all supposed to go, think of his mental health and stuff and that. And Harry Maguire, it's a sport. We are here debating this and questioning football, a footballer that has not played well for Manchester United. We paid a lot of money for him. He's on top dollar and he's not been performing. All we're doing is questioning that. I totally get what you're saying, Mark, as well, about the thing of, obviously, you wouldn't threaten violence on him or anything like that. I'm not going to tweet him, take time out of my day to say, Harry, you're shit at football or sort your shit out or anything. I'd never go down that route because there's just absolutely no point to it. But we can have a constructive debate here on the United Stand in front of loads of people that are watching. And unless anybody that's watching or any of you think anything different and think there's a place there for Harry Maguire, I think he's been quite good. I don't think he has. I think he's been one of Manchester United's worst ever buys in the history of Manchester United, when you take into consideration the fee and everything that Manchester United have paid for him. It's calamity, the way that club's run. 80 odd million on him.
Kev thinks he's got a chance then.
Yeah. And he just he believes his own hype. All this, I was in the team of the Euros. He's living off this England. England didn't win the Euros. Yeah, they got to the final or whatever. He's still living off this. And he's still going to carry on and say, all the previous managers have picked me. They've kept me as captain and that. And that just adds to it. He really needs to have a step back. And he should be listening to people like Roy Keane, who have come out and publicly slated him. Roy Keane, an absolute legend of United, who's won, the lot with Manchester United, the treble, whatever. You'd be looking at him and take that as constructive criticism. Don't look at it and go, everybody's getting on at me. They're beating me with a brush and that. Take it as constructive criticism. I would. The same if you all talk about me after tonight's show and say, Kev was shit. He's really bad at this. I'd say, I wouldn't be all defensive. I'd take it as a constructive criticism and go, right, I'll take that on board and next week I'll be better.
And then you come out and say, mate. I've been on that channel for 6, 7 years, and I got voted Paddleist of the Year in 2016. I'm still there. Yeah. Which is basically what we've got. But it's funny, when you was on about it then, I thought, you know what? This is how sad I am sometimes. I had a dream about Harry Maguire last week. Nothing sinister. And basically he was sat there all sad. And I was like, what's the matter, mate? And he was telling me, he was like, and he was actually really, this is a dream, so don't anyone start believing it. He was actually a really nice guy who was a victim of all the idiots around him. And I basically put my arm around him and I was like, we'll sort it out, Harry. Don't worry. You're a nice guy. I'm going to sort this out. And basically, I did a show and I was like, he's actually a nice guy. It's people around him. He really does want to be a United player and he understands what he's got to do and he's got to work hard. And I thought, when I woke up, I thought, well, that's actually what he needs to do. He needs to rid of himself of all this nonsense. And you know what? You know what it comes down to with Maguire? Martinez and Varane are better than him. That's all it is. It doesn't. He might well get into a Euros team of the year, but Martinez and Varane are better than him. And what I found was interesting in the England game on Friday is that when we bought Martinez, he started playing right-sided centre-back for Man United and England. And on Friday night, he was back left-sided centre-back again. And I was like, oh, is that because he knows he can't get Varane spots and now he fancies Martinez's spot? And it's like, you're not better than either of them at the moment. They're better than you. And that's what it is. It's as simple as that. There's no hate. You're just not better than them.
On that, actually, what you said there, he does want to be a United player, but it's like at the Legends game yesterday, I spoke to Ronnie Johnson and Yat Stam, one of our greatest centre-back,
and a good partnership, weren't they?
Yeah, and they said if you want to be a Manchester United player, you have to accept that someone will come, new players will come in. You have to get better, and you are never a guaranteed starter. That's what a United player's DNA is. It's not you will be. Just because a manager that's left the club now has made you captain, just because you cost this amount of money, it doesn't make you a Manchester United player. You're a Manchester United player. You should have to fight for your place with one, not two players fighting for your spot. And he's actually just realised for the first time in his whole career that he's actually at a top club, which is Manchester United, simply because of Ten Hag. Ten Hag's very first interview a Manchester United manager, he mentioned the word standards. And he's the first manager post Alex Ferguson to upkeep them standards. And everyone...
Tell you what, Adam, as well, he also publicly said that Maguire was his captain and basically publicly said he was his first choice centre-back as well. So it's not like he's, he can be that again.
Yeah, he give him the chance, mate. And that's the best thing about Ten Hag. He's gone, okay, he's listened to Harry Maguire. He's probably listened to his speech about all the other managers have picked me. I was in the team of the year for England. Okay, I'll play you then. Let's see what you've got. And then epic fail. So he's gone, okay, no, I'm not quite happy with that. I'm going to play this partnership, see if this works better for me. Because at the end of the day, what Ten Hag has done, he's looked at what the other managers have done before him and what has failed them managers. And that is playing the same old players constantly. He's the first man to mix it up. And look what's happened. We've actually started hitting a bit of form because he's gone with what he sees is best. He's not gone with what everyone's telling him is best. And that's the difference. Ten Hag is the first man to see right through all the crap. And that's what United fans need to cling on to. And we need to get behind the manager more than anyone because he's making decisions that we didn't even see coming. The likes of Maguire, Shaw, Ronaldo, these sort of decisions, I didn't see them coming at all. I thought he was stuck again. I thought he was going to try and make him a little better player somehow and squeeze him in, but he's just gone, no, at the end of the day, you have to earn your way back into the team. And it was Jaap Stam who said it yesterday. Accept it. Otherwise, you will fail at Manchester United. You're getting competition. You have to be on your toes. And he said that's probably why now you're seeing substitutes come on off the bench for Manchester United playing to the same standard as the team that started the game because Ten Hag's intensity in training is higher. And you're probably seeing more players tired because the training is like a game. So when these players come off the bench, then they are ready to go, like literally game standard. That's how Ten Hag works. And that was Jaap Stam talking about how Ten Hag actually works. He said it in the interview, like the intensity in training is probably something that he struggled with himself because he isn't as sharp as the other centre-backs, like you said, Mark. The others are better. It's as simple as that. And they've adapted better to Ten Hag.
Yeah. Did you speak to Jaap Stam yesterday?
I did, yeah. I spoke to Jaap Stam. Just want everyone to know that, and then just so everyone knows,
that one quiet.
I was above Jaap Stam, so that was my moment.
I think Adam might have met Jaap Stam yesterday and Ronnie Johnson.
And Ronnie Johnson.
Jaap Stam
I met Speed. Swivel on it. I met Speed and Mr. Beast.
It's a competition yesterday, but no, Jaap Stam was one of my heroes. I loved him, and it was a pleasure yesterday.
Well, Ryan did message me and he said Adam's got some interviews with Ronnie Johnson and Jaap Stam. I said, I'm too busy with KSI inside, men. Just leave it. Do what you like, mate. Do what you like. But Charlie, we've got a massive game next weekend. Obviously, we'll be building up on it, the channel this week. Thank God we've got football back, but it comes back with a bang. I think it's Man City on the Sunday, Cyprus team. I don't know it. And then Everton away. And it's basically 13 games until November the 10th. It's relentless. So anyone who's been pissed off like me with no football, it's going to go crazy. But it starts off with a game that really could take it. In a way, I don't like it. We haven't played Arsenal. Last Premier League game will be 4 weeks by the time we play Man City since Arsenal. Obviously, we had that Europa League game, but it's a long break. And also, to come out of an international break into Man City is not ideal. We won't have the momentum. But where it is, with so many games coming after it, I really want us to get a result because if we don't, it could just drop the mood a little bit. What are your thoughts and hopes going into that Man City game, assuming everybody's fit? Because we've got to start thinking about that now, haven't we? You know, how that game's going to go, what we can expect from it, what's realistic, considering they played us off the park twice last year. Is it really realistic that we're going to go there and not get beaten? Or do you think that that's what we should be looking to do?
In all honesty, I'm quite excited for the game, and that's obviously probably down to us not playing a Premier League game in a while, but also it's kind of the one time that, and I don't want to go into it with almost like, because you know we can quite easily go and get humbled in that game and have that type of game. But I mean, look, it's more again these big games, you know, the derby and stuff. For me. And I think if I was the manager going into it, is obviously you want to win these games, but it is ultimately if you aren't going to win, it's the performance still as well. If you still show that the fans that, because again, I've said this multiple times, there will be games where we will lose a game of football and we shouldn't have lost. And the same goes the other way. There'll be games where we win and we shouldn't have won. It's just the law of the game. It's just how it works. But yeah, I mean, I'm overly excited. I expect if everyone stays fit, that it will be that kind of unchanged team. But yeah, as you say, a lot of fixtures come in thick and fast, and I think this is where truly you'll see kind of the overall, what the whole squad has got, what kind of minerals and backbone that everyone kind of has. Because we've said it multiple times, as we've seen, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, like all these players will get game time and will have to play, because otherwise our best 11 players won't have any legs by the end of it. And ultimately the best teams do have, I mean, look, like City's squad depth is ridiculous, and obviously we're in no way, shape or form comparable to that. I'd give up an arm and a leg to have just half of their squad depth. It's ridiculous. But I mean, this is, I guess, obviously a good time for Ten Hag to, we're debating over McTominay and Casemiro, which one are we going to start for the Man City game? But ultimately, you know what Casemiro's made of, but you also have McTominay who's on good form. So that bodes well for the squad depth, right? And this is what players competing for positions and fighting. And we saw it a couple of years back, obviously, when Tellers was being brought in, that Luke Shaw's performances and stuff kind of skyrocketed and went through the roof. It's what you want. You don't want to know that your place is certain week in, week out, because then you take your foot off the pedal. You're not performing to the best of your abilities. You almost feel comfortable and you're not trying to impress anyone. And I think Ten Hag's come in and shown that, he's the boss, right? He's the guy that's gonna come in. He's not afraid to drop anyone or drag you off at like a random. I feel like the very stereotypical like Ollie substitution was 60-minute mark. Someone's coming off, like no matter what the scoreline was, and then maybe another one at like 80 minutes. It's like, people will come off at half time. Obviously, the Brentford game, he made a few subs and that. But yeah, and obviously going on from that, you've got the new substitution rule, the 5-sub rule, which hopefully we can utilise. But yeah, ultimately to come back, I mean, I'm excited for the game. Obviously, it can go completely wrong, but I'm excited for this, to see kind of what our defence is made of. You look at Haaland, obviously scoring the goals, and I mean, you can't even really sometimes say performances, because he scores and he has 10 touches. It's not, that's not even a performance, but it's still, he's just still scoring. It's what he's there to do. I'm excited to see how Varane and Martinez, Dalot, and Malacia deal with that type of striker. Is completely different to anything they're going to obviously have faced so far this season. So, and ultimately, look, if you stop the kind of ball at source, the midfield getting the ball to Haaland, you stop Haaland. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how things pan out for me. But yeah, it's an exciting time. Obviously, it's annoying that we've had the last 2 Premier League games cancelled, but it would have been nice to obviously, hopefully, have got 6 points in those 2 games and obviously carried on the momentum and form. But yeah, it'll be interesting and kind of shows, what we're kind of made of.
Yeah, and I think Charlie makes a good point, Kev, that it's going to be very interesting how Ten Hag approaches this game, considering we've had Solskjaer approach these games where he'll counterattack. We've seen Ten Hag do that to get results recently, but we also know that he's a studious disciple almost of Pep. He was a reserve team coach under Pep at Bayern Munich. It's a really intriguing game, how we're going to approach it. What are your hopes and thoughts going into it?
Well, obviously, I hope that we win about 10-0, but I'm obviously going to be realistic. And I think you touched on a good point there, the fact of Manchester United's last game. I think it's kind of a way of looking at if your glass is half full or half empty, what kind of a person you are, because you could look and think it's yes, there's been an international break, but it's also extra time that Ten Hag's had with his squad, moulding, getting different ideas or whatever. And listen, I feel confident. The one thing I will say is I don't think Manchester United will get embarrassed this weekend. And I think we've gone into a lot of Manchester derbies over the last couple of years where you've gone in and it's almost been a case of how many are they going to score? What can we keep it to? And that's where the standards have been lowered. Now, it's different this season. It's totally different. There's so many interesting matchups on that team. I mean, a lot of people would look at the likes of Haaland and Martinez and think total mismatch. You know, the way that Troy Deeney sort of tore Manchester United apart for Brentford. But you work that out the back. We've got Varane, you know, who's an aerial threat. You can stick him on Haaland, and it's intriguing. For me, Kevin De Bruyne makes everything tick. He's pretty much what Paul Scholes was to Manchester United years ago. Everything will go through him. So again, it does come down to the midfield battle. We've obviously discussed Scott McTominay. Would you bring Casemiro in and that? And it is an interesting point, but on current form, for me, McTominay gets in. And yeah, what a strong squad we have at the minute. You know, you look at that bench. Let's just say if he does go with McTominay, I mean, Casemiro's not a bad player to be bringing on at any stage of the game, even if you're winning the game, if you want to see it out, which would be lovely. But, oh, God, it's a tricky one. It's always going to be tricky against Manchester City. And we can throw out all these things that form goes out the window and that, you know, it's a Manchester derby. But they're on a bit of a different level to Manchester United at the minute. We've got the feel-good factor back. The one thing that's good for me at the minute is, and Adam will probably resonate with this quite well, is you've got a group of players there now walking off that pitch and going applauding the fans, and the fans are giving that back. And it's almost, I've not had this for a few years. You know, we've seen the likes of Lingard, Pogba, you know, Harry Maguire, you know, where you didn't have that connection with the players. And it seems now, yes, because we've won a few games and things are looking a bit rosy, but just the players that are out there, the likes of Eriksen, who you cannot not love, the likes of Martinez, Varane, and you kind of look at them players as they're walking off the pitch, you applaud them, you've kind of got that connection back. And I think that's been lost for years. You know, Manchester United have had so many mercenaries walk through this door, just taking, you know, the hard cash and not putting it in on the field. And for me, as long as they give it a right good go against Manchester City, that's all I can ask for. And
it was funny last night, actually. It was funny last night. I was after the game yesterday. Everyone had their friends and family there, and Pieface, who was in goal for Sidemen, he had some friends and family there. So this guy comes up to me, goes, "I love United stands." I could smell the beer straight away, and I'm one of Pieface's mate. And I went, yeah. He says, "I love United stand." I thought he's already told me that 2 seconds ago. This is going to be a great conversation. And he goes, Paul Pogba, what do you think about Paul Pogba? I was like, well, we've got to get rid of him. He's already gone, mate. Good. He's a problem. He's a problem. He is. Anyways, he goes off. 5 minutes later, all right, yeah, I love United stand. What do you think about Paul Pogba? Later on that night, he sees me again. All right, talk to me about Paul Pogba. I was like, fucking hell, you and Souness would get on really well. He would love you. I was just like, yeah, but you're right. I mean, we are a different team now, Adam, and obviously you go to the games. I tell you, I would just, I know it's a bit negative. I would take a point right now because I think the 12 games that are coming after, it would just give us that 5 games winning before. Take a point at the Etihad, keep the bubble not burst, and then take the momentum after. I mean, I'd love to bloody win there, but I think it's so important we don't get beat.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Yats Dam about it yesterday, funnily enough. No, joking. But no, I totally get your logic there in terms of like it. Kev is right there in terms of the fans and the connection back with the players again. That's most important, and everyone's realistic when it comes to going to places like City, playing Liverpool. It's like before the Liverpool game, we was all saying, look, we just want to see this team actually show a bit of heart, actually stick up a fight. And like Kev said, we won't be embarrassed. If it turns out to be a big win for City, it'll be through some stupid decision or something like that. I just feel like we're just completely differently organised. I think Ten Hag has got us playing a different ball game. I think the biggest thing in all of that is we're playing as a team for the first time in God knows how many years, and that shows exactly no matter how we're playing, whether it's the high energy against Liverpool or we stick to what we are against Southampton and Leicester and grind out a 1-0 win. Every player on that pitch is on board with how we're playing that day. It's not like we shouldn't be playing like this. It's not one stray. And I said it at the time. I said it through the last few games now after walking out of the stand. Every game I've gone, it's just nice getting a few 6s and 7s out of 10 instead of a team of 4s and then 1-9 for one player performing. I said, and that shows you how much we are together as a team. And that's what we will be at City. I think it will be a close game. I can see a loss. I can see a win. I can see a draw. And all three of them results.
Now got Michael Owen here now.
Yeah.
Now Michael Owen.
If you want to win games, then you need to go out and win the game. That's basically that's what it's it. But I would not be surprised with any result, is what I'm trying to say. The way both teams are playing. I could see United winning. And I can see the other two results as well, because City are a different ball game altogether. They're a quality outfit. Stop De Bruyne. That's the thing. That's what you do. Stop De Bruyne. Stop Bernardo Silva. And you look at Haaland, and everyone's raving about how many touches he's had. It's not him you need to stop, because he won't get hold of the ball. He doesn't do much else. It's the rest of the team does the work for him. He puts the ball in the net. But if you get in amongst it and actually take the game to him, City's defence is crap. It really is. It's shocking, I think. I think
it has been this year. Yeah.
They have the ship goals left, right, and centre. We've seen it all the time. And you know what? They've given up leads in games a few times this season already. So for me, they definitely gettable. And it just depends. It's just stopping the momentum. If City get ahead of steam at home, then when you're there, it sort of feels like there's no way back. If you take the lead first at Manchester City, then that crowd turns very, very quickly. I know it for certain because I was sat with this fucking bastards last season in the City end when it was all going wrong. But when Sancho equalised last season, oh my God, every City player was shit in the City fans' eyes. They turn very quickly. Their expectation levels now as City fans is they've got a God-given right to win all of these games because they've got Pep Guardiola and they're playing this great football, so they're not used to it going wrong. If you get that first goal, then it's different for City. I think if City get the first goal, then I worry for United in terms of getting the right result. But I would say, you know what? I think draw. I'm with you on that. I think it's a draw game, me. United's first of the season, funnily enough, in all competitions. So
yeah.
A due one as well.
You know, you do have to gauge yourself or compare yourself with the traditional top six. I know they're both home games, but we beat Liverpool, we beat Arsenal. If we can go to City and you know get something, hopefully a point, that would be great. How do you feel it's going to go, Charlie? What are your thoughts? And also, you can answer this one because I don't intend to go around the whole panel about it, because I think me and Adam spoke about it last week, although we might give Kev a minute or two. What's your score prediction and what would you do? I know we don't know whether Rashford and Martial are back in training yet. Maybe we'll get some pictures tomorrow.
Rashford is a thing.
Rashford is. So what's your score prediction and what would you do as your striker next week, considering we're probably not going to have a lot of the ball?
Yeah, score prediction, I think I'm going to go over 2-2 draw. I'm going to say there's going to be goals. And in terms of the striker situation, in my opinion, I think it will be, providing Rashford's fit, I think Rashford will be the one utilised. I think that obviously he's a threat in behind, and considering we're probably going to have anywhere less of 40% possession, I'm going to say that over the top and out ball is going to be effective, and we saw it used, you know, against Liverpool and Arsenal, and City are going to play just, if not a higher line. So, yeah, I think, and I'd be happy getting a point in that game too.
Do you, just before I go to Kev on that, do you believe that Rashford is the right? Is Rashford out of the three? How would you rank them as your number 9 if you were the coach?
In terms of that game, or in terms of overall?
No, just in general, he would be your number 1, 2, and 3 out of those three, Martial, Rashford. I am going to ask everyone this, so get ready.
Yeah, so for me, my number one, obviously, in this system would have to be Martial, and I'm saying that quite confidently, even though we haven't seen kind of hardly anything of him. I can see him, kind of working really well, and then probably Rashford. I mean, he's as much as he's had quite a lot of. Me and Adam have spoken about this recently quite a lot, but he's had quite a lot of stick, along with loads of players, but. He's scoring and getting assists. I just want to see more. I just want to see. It's almost weird. He turns up in the big games, obviously, when teams play high lines, but these low block teams, he needs to develop and adapt his game a little bit more, and hopefully Ten Hag can bring that out of him. And then obviously you've got Ronaldo, which is a very, very difficult to kind of judge, and I feel very harsh on it. And a lot of people are probably going to have a go at me for it, obviously putting him at number 3. But I mean, I think it comes down to the system with Ten Hag, right? And I just don't think he sees Ronaldo long term in the system, and that's what he's about: long term project, team cohesion, everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go Ronaldo 1, Martial 2, Rashford 3. So we're completely different on that. Kev, what would you do? And also, just give us your score prediction as well.
Yeah, well, the Manchester derby, I think it is that old saying, horses for courses, really, isn't it? You have to look at it, and you need a player that is going to fit that system. For me, it breaks my heart to say it, but Ronaldo wouldn't be the number 1 for that team. And it goes purely against the team that you play in. They're going to push up. And like Charlie said, then makes a great point. The likes of Arsenal, and when we played Liverpool, Rashford was effective, found that space, was able to use his pace to run in. And at Ronaldo's age now, he doesn't do that. I'm certainly not disrespecting the GOAT there himself, but again, you need to look at a team strategy and a plan. So if Martial was fit, he would be my number 1, but I see it being Rashford going in on current form again, and I will go with 1-1.
Okay. And Adam, just finally, how would you rank our strikers? I actually didn't rank them on the Man City game. I agree that, well, I haven't even thought about it yet. I'll have to wait for my preview. But I'm just saying, in general, Ronaldo would be my number 1, Martial 2, and Rashford 3. But Adam?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see Martial in that front 3 at the start in pre-season, where it looked like the Martial that stepped on the pitch against Liverpool back when we signed him, when he sent Skirkle for a hot dog. I just feel like I'm backing the manager again. I'm looking at the manager's outlook over the players. I would go Martial number 1, Ronaldo number 2, and Rashford is always a wide attacker for me.
Yeah.
And we have seen, like Kev said, Rashford has done damage in these big games, the Arsenal and the Liverpool one especially. But let's not forget, he did it coming from the left into the centre position. He reads the game better from the left and then makes the move better, I think. Ricky even bigged up Rashford the other day in the middle in holding the ball up. But Ten Hag is working on it because he knows that striker might not be there in January. That striker might not be there in the summer. We may need Rashford to step in now and then, and it's unsure of how fit Martial can stay. But for me personally, it's Martial, Ronaldo, Rashford, and it's going to be a Desmond 2-2 on Sunday.
There we go. We've overrun, actually. That show flew by, which surprises me because we really were winging it for most of it because there's nothing to talk about. But
Yap Stam though, Mark. So
there's some Yap Stam stuff.
Yeah, go watch that.
Shameless.
Oh, that reminds me, actually, just talking about the guy I met yesterday and all the Pogba stuff. He might be watching, so I just realised, actually, I did enjoy our chat. I wasn't taking the piss. And actually, something else he said to me, before I found out, because I didn't even know who he was until the 3rd time. I was just like, who is he? And then I said, who are you? And he said, I'm mates with Pieface, and that's my girlfriend over there with the ginger hair. And I went, oh yeah. And he went, yeah, I call her Scalzi. And I thought, actually, that was quite good. Because I thought, how does that work? I said, oh, all right. He says, yeah, I love Scalzi. I was like, all right. I'm not taking this conversation any further than that. I hope he doesn't call her Scalzi in certain areas, but, there we go.
Yeah. Scores from outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. Charlie went there. Okay, so yeah, we've it's been a good show, but I can thankfully say this will be the last forum in a long time where we are international break filling, because we have got loads of games and loads of stuff to talk about, and it's going to be really interesting to see, because I think he will still be mixing and matching his team. We'll see different teams in the Europa League than we will at the weekend. I think there'll be opportunities for, obviously, it's going to be injuries, form. Really excited, so looking forward to it, and it's going to be back very, very soon. So thanks for coming on, Kev.
Thank you very much for having me, as always. Great to be back on the show. And just wanted to say, if anybody didn't know, Adam interviewed Yap Stam yesterday, so get on the United Stand and you can view that video.
Twitter
and his Instagram.
I mentioned it a few times.
Instagram, yeah, Instagram, Twitter. But yeah, this is isn't this the last show for 6 weeks, because we've got Sunday games now. 6 weeks straight.
Oh shit, yeah, probably, yeah. And I think in 2 weeks we play Everton at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night on a Sunday.
On a Sunday, yeah.
It's not even a bank holiday Monday after. I'm like, what's that all about?
Amazon's back, people, because the World Cup's taking their December slot, so Amazon's getting games. Yeah, I think we've got one against Spurs on a Wednesday night at 8:15 as well with Amazon. So I think Amazon's getting an earlier kick this year. So I think that's what it is.
What's it called?
Amazon Prime.
Amazon. I call it
Amazon. Oh, right, yeah, you can see where you're going.
Amazon. It's Amazon. It's Amazon's fault.
Yeah.
How do you say it, Kev?
Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon.
How do you say it, Charlie?
Amazon.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, that's not right.
We're two with London, 2 with Amazon.
We adopted Charlie.
It's a Manchester thing.
He's going to have to start getting the lingo. I've told him he's got to start getting the lingo down. I tell him, we're not having him coming in saying we have to say things this way. Not in our own town, Kev. It's not having it.
Not on our turf.
No.
Thanks for coming on, Charlie. Pleasure as always.
Yeah, appreciate it. Enjoyed it very, very much.
And thanks everyone for watching. It's always nice. These are the old school shows. It's always nice to just have these sort of shows. So it was amazing, like Amazon. But let's Charlie and Mark said it right, says Charles. Yeah, we'll leave it that on the screen.
Top. You're in Manchester. Simple.
Most of your fan base isn't.
Yeah.
And on that bombshell,
Yeah.
we'll end it there. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll speak to you in a bit. Back tomorrow. Don't know what we're doing yet, but we will be back. Speak to you in a bit.